everyone, this is Vivian from Barrie Public Library, and with me today is our telescope kit. When you borrow a telescope kit from the Barrie Public Library, you're going to find that it is disassembled potentially in a few different ways depending on the person who borrowed it last and how they disassembled it. But in every single kit, you'll have your optical lens, you'll have a tripod that has a mount attached, you're going to have your finder scope, two different lenses at various heights. We have a 20 millimeter and a 10 millimeter. You'll have the mount for the finder scope, an erect image diagonal, and then also a smartphone adapter so that you can take some pretty cool pics. So looking at the tripod first, let's just set this up here, make it a little bit easier to see. You'll be opening this guy up, depending on how tall you want to make it or how short you are. You can open up each of the legs to different heights to get it fairly long. On the mount itself also is a level so that you can actually make sure if you're outside on uneven ground that you can get yourself balanced nice and evenly. And then of course there's also a crank. So if you are wanting to make it higher, let me just get this guy out of the way. If you want to make it higher, you can just up this guy a little bit more. So as you just saw, for the mount to actually work and be easy to use to reposition your telescope, we actually have a few different ways to adjust it. What you have to make sure that you remember if you are wanting to adjust the pitch is you're going to need to loosen the handle. So righty-tighty, lefty-loosey, you're going to loosen it up, and that way you're going to be fully able to adjust the vertical level of that. So I'm going to tighten this guy up here nice and flat so that it's easy to place our telescope on top. Again, this is the quick release, and we are going to put this backwards here. We're going to open up our quick release and just make sure it's latched shut, and now our telescope is secured onto the tripod. All right, and again, loosening it up a little, I can adjust how this is angled. That's too much of an angle, but we can put that over here and tighten that up. Depending again on how it was returned, you may see that there's these two little knobs that are just sitting loose up here on the top. This is the spot for the finder scope to be attached. So it might already be attached when you borrow it, or it might not be there and it might be loose in the kit, in the case, in which case you're going to grab the mount, place it on top, use those two little screw bolts and tighten those down onto the telescope itself. So the finder scope is a good part to use because it actually helps you find what you're looking for before you really enter the zoom of the telescope, at which point, if you've ever tried looking at things through a magnifying glass or through binoculars or a telescope, it's kind of hard to find when you're really zoomed in. So you can look first through the finder scope to make sure you're pointed in the right direction, and then once you know that you're aligned and everything is calibrated nicely between both the finder scope and the telescope, that you can start playing and actually go have fun with this. So when you look through the finder scope, you'll see that there's basically a target, two different crosshairs that you can align. When you have this set up, you'll be able to, let me loosen this, adjust things so that, so I'm looking through here, I'm going to aim, that looks like where I want it to be finding. I'm going to tighten that up, and then I'm actually ready to start looking. Once I'm ready to start finding, I'll be using the erect image diagonal, and this is actually just going to slide in here. And again, we've got two little screws that we're just going to tighten, and that's going to hold this in place. And this is actually what flips and mirrors the image so that we can see it properly. If you looked through, if you had tried putting a lens directly in here without using the diagonal, you're going to see things both backwards and upside down. So once that's in there, I'm going to take out one of our lenses and we're going to put it in here. And again, I made this the wrong adjustment for myself. So I'm going to loosen the screws up, change the angle of the lens, and I've got it set up. I can take a look. That's where I still want to point it. So I'm going to look in through the actual lens, and now I'm going to use the knobs on the side to adjust the focus so that everything comes in absolutely crystal clear, and that is exactly what I'm looking for. And now I see this nice crisp image that is not upside down and not mirrored and looks really pretty cool. Now, if you're into photography, we also have a smartphone adapter that's in each kit. So if you have a smartphone with maybe hopefully a nice camera, what you can do is set this up over our actual eyepiece, tighten that up, and then unfortunately I don't have my phone with me here right now, but you can have this totally set up, and then basically using the different knobs, adjust the angle and the orientation of where this is fitting, and you can get it set up so that your lens is directly over the eyepiece, so that if you already have it in position in the right spot, you can take some pretty cool pictures. So that is our telescope kit from Barrie Public Library. And if you're interested in getting more information, take a look at our website under our Library of Things page. You can find the telescope kit and a bunch of the other items, but if you go onto the telescope kit, you'll see a section called our helpful links, and you get more information about using this telescope, the user manual, some neat things to take a look at and try finding in the sky, and learn more about using a telescope and astronomy.